Hello, everybody. For this, since we are all at home, whether we're doing spring cleaning or dancing or whatever, I'm sure our bodies are a little achy. So I'm going to lead you guys through a full body self massage. It's nothing terribly exciting or difficult. You can do it while sitting down. I'm in my living room. So put one foot, sort of bend that leg, bring the other foot close to you. You're going to hear my dog in the background. We're going to start with our feet. I like to, extend those toes. Kind of first before moving a little bit upwards. And I think that each of these steps, I'm going to go through them a little quickly. You should take your time. Especially if something is really achy or it just feels really good, like stay there, give it some extra time. Let's move up to the arch of the foot. And while you're working on your arch, you can also start working, like use your thumbs for the arch and your other fingers for the top of your foot. I like to sort of spread out the top and then spread out the bottom instead of just like digging your fingers in, kind of like working them out, pulling those muscles and bones sort of out of their stagnant position. And then we'll move up to the heel area, and then you're going to be getting into your ankle, where down here is where your Achilles tendon begins. You're really going to want to work that out because this tendon can get pretty hard over time, and you want it to be flexible, almost the way that I've heard it described is taffy-like, so that it carries a lot of our weight, and your ankle should be pretty flexible, and you don't want that to pop or anything else like that. So while you're doing these, you can start, moving out your feet, your toes. Keep the areas of the body that you have worked on moving. And then you're going to start moving up to your calf, so front of your leg as well, and the back. I prefer the back. I am pretty susceptible to shin splints, so I don't really like touching this area a ton, but it does need it. But I tend to really work out the back of my calf. And then we'll make our way up to around the knee. You don't want to put direct pressure onto the top of the knee. You can go in through the back and around the sides. That always feels pretty good. You want to keep the kneecap kind of in its place. You don't want to put a ton of pressure on that. Then we'll make our way up to our thighs. Like I said, I'm going pretty quickly. Please sort of take your time with each of these. For me, I've got pretty dense thighs, so I can go pretty hard. I tend to fist my hand up and really get in there with the muscles. While I'm working out my thighs, or not working out my thighs, but, massaging them, I do tend to start to roll from the hip socket, because massaging the hip socket's pretty hard. Like, you have to get really in there. Instead of having to do that while you're working on your thighs, you can, one, keep really moving that ankle and that foot, but then also start to move that hip. And as you start working that hip, it's going to inevitably kind of make this hip start moving as well. Okay. Once you've gotten that leg really feeling gooey from the time you've spent on each part, you can start going to the other leg. I really recommend taking a decent chunk of time working on your legs, the parts of the body that we don't really tend to, we work them out, but we don't soften them a lot. And massage, that's sort of the goal. Not really to soften, but to relieve tension, especially unnecessary tension, which is pretty much most tension. So we're starting back on this foot. I'm feeling this arch a little bit more than the other one, so I'm going to work that out. You don't have to make it completely even on both sides, but you should give approximately the same time to each side. ankle. And while you're working the ankle, you can do both sides. You know, you can do the top of your foot while you work on it. You have two hands, so you can do a little bit of both. And if you start moving up the leg and then, you know, you touch something on the back of your calf and go, ooh, no, I think my ankle still needs some work. Please, you know, keep doing both. Your whole body is, you know, attached. And you have to work on each aspect of the body, and that will help the next aspect. So your ankle will help your calf will help your ankle. So just keep moving up that leg. Up to the thigh. So the inner part of this thigh is feeling a lot more tight than the other thigh was. So I'm going to work on that sort of area. And same with this hip socket. So I was talking about earlier, like moving the hips, like actually from the socket is a really good thing. I'm feeling this stretch pretty deep in there. But you can also really get your finger into that socket. It's not a terribly comfortable feeling, but it is kind of good to, you know, really feel where those muscles are entering the pelvic region, which holds a lot of our weight. Okay, once you've gotten both legs worked out, I recommend sitting sort of, you know, you don't have to be super wide second, but just wide enough because then your hips are open, your thighs are open. As you move, you'll be giving this inner part a little bit of a stretch. You can't really see my feet right now, but I do tend to roll my ankles, flex, and point as I'm working the top half of my body so that this isn't just limp afterwards. So we'll start next with the chest. This region, like where it's like the level of the sternum. Doesn't ever really get a lot of attention, especially here where your arm muscles come into the chest. So I'm just taking my thumbs and rubbing that sort of chest muscle area. As we do that, we can then, you're going to start feeling a little bit looser in sort of this movement, and then you're going to want to move to your back. My hands are fists, and I'm just kind of doing this, but not like punching, like rolling against the back muscles, going upwards as high as I can. I found a spot that is pretty tight. It's in the center of my back, so I'm putting some pressure. I'm just kind of moving it around a little bit to see where that tension is really being held, and if there is a knot. And then we can move up to the shoulders. You can do one shoulder at a time, and really give it what it needs. You can also do both if you then just want to work more and take more time on the arms instead of the shoulders themselves. While I'm working my shoulders, I do, if I have, you know, just one, or as I start to move down my arm, it will start to roll my neck. Because a lot of the tension in our shoulders, you know, originates in our neck. Just start giving those arms a work. It doesn't have to be anything terribly vicious, but, you know, just wake up those muscles a little bit. When you get to your fingers, really kind of, I'm pulling them, like, not out of their socket, but very slowly sort of elongating them and putting pressure through the finger as I do. This wakes up the muscles in a nice way. And let's come to the next arm. And come down. I like to go over the arm a couple of times. This isn't as thought out as it is when I'm doing body work on the arms, but it is good to sort of start at the top and come downwards, sort of bring your muscles outward instead of pulling them inward, like we do when we're sitting at a computer, or even while reading a book, which is what I do a lot. These fingers. Your neck should be a little bit awake from rolling it out, but now let's start going up the neck. Just for something like this, which I usually do for a warm-up before a class, not really a warm-up, but getting ready for a class, I'm just taking my fingers and sort of patting them up my neck. You can do this just to sort of wake up the skin. I'm doing it a little bit harder because I know that I hold tension in there. I've got slight, not knot, but, some more tension in there, and then come up the back of your skull. Once I get to my hairline, I stop sort of patting and I really kind of push upwards. That's just what feels good to me. And you can use your hands to sort of move your neck as well as the skin around your neck. Awesome. And then if there's anywhere that feels like needs extra attention, at this point, just go there, kind of work out some more, and then you're ready to start warming up. Thank you so much. Bye.